Ms. Wanda has officially spoken, and the tea is piping hot. She has seemingly confirmed the rumors that Maurice Scott has been cheating on Kimmy, and we need to talk about it. Now, this whole situation is becoming more and more suspicious, and honestly, it makes you wonder if they are just trying to turn this into a storyline to keep their spot on the show. But let's break it all down and get into the details. Recently, Ms. Wanda appeared on Carlos King's show, Reality with the King. We all know Carlos loves him some Ms. Wanda, so it's no surprise that he invited her on the show. Now that Melody is no longer on Love and Marriage, Huntsville, Carlos seems to feel free to invite whoever he wants, including people who have spent a good amount of time antagonizing others on the show. But what really caught everyone's attention was a particular game that was played during the episode. During the segment, Carlos asked Ms. Wanda to say the first word that came to her mind when he mentioned certain cast members' names. When he said Kimmy, Wanda responded with, "Well, especially with the red lipstick." Now, let's pause right there because didn't they try to say there was no red lipstick? All of a sudden, it's part of the conversation again? This storyline originally came from something Mel mentioned on the show, which bloggers and fans have been discussing for a while. If the red lipstick wasn't real, why bring it up again? And more importantly, why didn't Carlos, as the interviewer, challenge that by asking Maurice directly about the alleged lipstick situation? Instead, it seems like now they're using it as a joke to keep the conversation going and possibly boost ratings. Carlos then went on to joke that maybe the lipstick on Maurice's shirt came from when he got arrested and suggested that it might have been from a female police officer. Now hold on a second. So they saw the lipstick on his shirt, but back then they were acting like it didn't exist? That's where the real issue lies. Nobody held Maurice accountable at the time, and everyone just let it slide like it was nothing. Melody got dragged when she brought it up, and not one person stepped up to acknowledge what we all saw. But now, suddenly, it's all jokes. Ms. Wanda didn't stop there. When Carlos asked if she believed Maurice cheated on Kimmy, she basically said yes by saying, "Every man cheats." Now, we all know what that means. She's confirming that she believes Maurice has stepped out on Kimmy. And honestly, if someone close to the Scott family is saying this, how can they continue to blame bloggers for spreading so-called false rumors? They've been blaming bloggers for a long time, but now Ms. Wanda, who is close to the situation, is saying it too. So what have we been talking about this whole time? And why did they allow Kimmy and Maurice to gaslight everyone at the reunion? Dodging direct questions about where he was, who he was with, and what he was doing. Then, the conversation shifted to Maurice's brother, Maurice Scott. Ms. Wanda also had something to say about his alleged infidelity. Carlos played a clip of her confronting Marceau in the past, accusing him of sleeping with 20 women. Now, we all know Ms. Wanda has a way with words, but that accusation has never fully disappeared. She also pointed out that Marceau doesn't wear his wedding ring, which has been a topic of discussion before. However, Wanda then tried to backtrack a little, claiming that while she doesn't believe Marceau is cheating right now, she does think he may have in the past when he and Letitia first got married. But let's be real, does anyone believe that Marceau hasn't cheated? There have been way too many signs and hints over the years. Even his own interactions on the show make it seem like he's hiding something. Who remembers the conversation with Martel when Martel basically said, "Of course she lets you cheat"? That alone was a major red flag. And then there was that sit-down Letitia had with Neil and Chris, where she was asking them how they dealt with infidelity in their marriage. That moment alone made it seem like she had gone through something similar and was trying to get advice. The way Marceau reacts when confronted about cheating has always been suspicious. He never flat out denies it confidently. Instead, he always dances around the question, making vague statements. And let's not forget the infamous incident when someone slid into his DMs and sent him an explicit photo. His response was definitely questionable. But what makes Marceau different from Martel is that Marceau seems to be much more careful. He isn't sloppy like Martel, who got caught multiple times and humiliated himself. Marceau is calculated. If he is cheating, he's making sure there's no concrete evidence, which makes it easy for Letitia to act like nothing is going on. The only time Marceau really got caught slipping was when someone took a picture of his back in a hotel room. That was the first time there was an actual potential receipt. But even then, because no one came forward to confirm anything, and it was just a picture of a back, it was easy for him to deny it. That's why Letitia can comfortably say, Well, there's no proof, because Marceau, if he is cheating, isn't careless enough to leave an obvious trail. Now back to Maurice, his situation is different. There have been rumors about the kind of activities that allegedly went down at Credit. 1. His business. And when you look at the history of how his relationship with Kimmy started, there are already questions about whether there was overlap between her and his ex-wife, Kiowa. So, when you take all of that into account, Ms. Wanda's comments start to make a lot more sense. If someone like her, who is connected to the Scott family, is saying that Maurice is cheating, it definitely makes you wonder what's really going on behind closed doors. At the end of the day, it's clear that many of these cast members are not being honest about what's happening in their relationships. They would rather play games, dodge questions, and manipulate storylines instead of just telling the truth. But the viewers aren't stupid. We see through the games, and we can tell when people are trying to cover things up. Whether Maurice and Marceau ever admit to anything is another story,